Please understand that none of this is financial advice. Anytime you hear the word sponsor, that means I'm compensated for my efforts to educate.
The most difficult thing in life is to know yourself.
I don't agree with everything it did. I think in-kind should have happened. I think some of the risk disclosures were a little absurd, but outside of that, looks like they worked hard to get these things into playing shape. And everybody, especially during the holidays, I had this, remember we were on that podcast with Steven, the Valkyrie guy. He was saying, this is the government, like they don't work on the holidays. So once we got to like Christmas time, I was like, man, I got a little doubt because I thought, okay, this is where maybe they punt or they have ARC withdrawal. Because anyway, it seemed to me, but I was getting wind from my sources that they were working really hard and that people were really outside of the two holidays worked a lot that week. And the SEC had deadlines that were in the middle, like, a lot of people had that week off, but they had a deadline in the middle of the Christmas to New Year's week. This is all a good sign to me. And I give them credit. Nobody wants to work around that time, but
so let me get this straight. The SEC is willing to work hard during Christmas break. Well, they worked hard during Christmas break when they decided to sue Ripple. They sued Ripple over Christmas break. So they were working very hard for a vendetta to screw over retail holders.
And what I mean by that is compliance always mattered. I think that, we're now at a time, if we want crypto to flourish and achieve some of the things we want it to in the future, I think we have to make sure we stay true to those first principles. We have to make sure we're focused on something more than speculation. Utility has always mattered. I think sometimes we lost sight of that in the fervor. But again, people had, as Michael described, I think it wasn't so many Davoses ago that people were like, Bitcoin's, it's done.
Yep.
And yet here we are.
You certainly.
The only reason crypto has a future is because of the utility that crypto has to offer. All of the use cases that could be used with distributed ledgers with blockchain technology, that's the reason crypto assets are still alive. Crypto assets would have been banned a long time ago if it wasn't for that reason.
Have you seen a change in interest or demand? Are they now more open to listening to the folks at Ripple and seeing how we can do pilots and working together and things like that?
Yeah, way more. So in the early days, we almost had to pretend we weren't a crypto company. I mean, like we basically said, hey, we have this payment system that's like something better it's an alternative to Swift.
Swift is a messaging service, and from the very beginning, Ripple decided to compete with Swift by offering the same messaging service, but utilizing cryptography that we see in blockchain technology. Now, they've always had XRP, they've always had the innovations that they're currently working on. However, they never really showcased them unless the client asked for them. Now that we see the Bitcoin ETF and we see crypto go mainstream, the clients are running to Ripple asking them what the crypto strategy should be.
Once it arrives at the custodian, we release the cash to them to settle the trade. So the trust never is on the hook. It has the Bitcoin and then it releases the cash. You can find those transfers online. We're not able to disclose them at the moment, but if you're deep enough in crypto Twitter, you can find people who are tracking wallets that have gathered a lot of Bitcoin recently.
Right now, there are whale wallets that are slowly accumulating Bitcoin. This is very positive for the entire asset class because there's a scarce amount of number of Bitcoin. The more these ETFs accumulate, well, the less supply there is.
Bitcoin was bought, but the Bitcoin price didn't really fluctuate on that day. I know what Eric was saying, which is like it was really the lead up. But if all this Bitcoin was being bought, why didn't that spike? And why didn't the transaction fees and the mempool spike as well?
Yeah. One nuance that's maybe not obvious is these authorized participants sense that there's demand throughout the day. And then they don't actually, the Bitcoin isn't acquired by us until the end of the day, but the market makers may know that it's coming so they can build positions throughout the day. So it won't show up for them on a single transaction. And the broader reason is Bitcoin's a very liquid market. I mean, even buying, a couple $100 million of Bitcoin is a lot, but Bitcoin trades billions of dollars every day around the world, and it has for a long time. And there are a lot of ways to facilitate those transactions. So this market is more liquid than many people give it credit for, and I think that's why you're seeing it process fairly normally through all the systems.
Yeah, and
Bitcoin ETFs are translating to a lot of liquidity into the crypto markets. Now, this is a very bullish prospect because there's a lot of companies that tap into crypto liquidity. And it just so happens RippleNet is one of those companies. So when RippleNet promises to move money across borders, they're tapping into crypto liquidity. They're not tapping into just XRP liquidity. They're tapping into all of crypto liquidity. So there might be a path where it's XRP to ETH, from ETH to Bitcoin back to XRP. And this is bullish for the entire sector. Think about all the different applications that tap into liquidity in the broader markets. Not to mention, this is going to even out the price of Bitcoin. Because there's so much buying and selling taking place, that tends to even out prices because there's more volume in general. Now, the other thing that I want to mention is this has been one of the most successful ETF launches in the history of ETFs. And that's a pretty bold statement, including semiconductor ETFs, inverse ETFs. The Bitcoin ETF has been one of the most successful ETF launches.
Have you seen a change in interest or demand? Are they now more open to listening to the folks at Ripple and seeing how we can do pilots and working together and things like that?
Yeah, way more. Way more. Way more.
Crypto's being legitimized. Ripple is benefiting from the Bitcoin ETF news by gaining more and more clients. Before we continue the show, I'd like to take a moment to thank NordVPN. NordVPN is more than just a VPN service. It's a software suite. NordVPN offers VPN services where you're able to encrypt your IP address as well as conceal where you live and who your ISP is. But there's other options as well. There's real-time threat protection, meaning if I were to click on a suspicious site, NordVPN pops up to let me know that, hey, you might not want to look at this site. So NordVPN also has a mesh net where you could set up virtual private networks for your own devices. You could share sensitive information between devices safely and securely. What I really like about Nord is there's a data breach scanner, and this checks the dark web periodically to make sure that none of your passwords were leaked or none of your personal information was leaked onto the dark web. So if you've been thinking about buying a VPN, use nordvpn.com/Darren. When you use this link, you'll be helping out the show, as well as getting a discount. You'll get 4 extra months free on a 2-year plan, not to mention a 30-day money-back guarantee. So again, nordvpn.com/Darren. Inga Mullins is the CEO of Fluency. Here you could see there's a photo of her standing next to Brad Garlinghouse. Her experience is impressive. Inga has worked on all of the major CBDC pilots. She's worked with the digital euro from the ECB. She's worked on the Bank of England CBDC Technology Forum. And she's also worked with the Federal Reserve with their working groups for remittance delivery. This is a post by Inga talking about how she's delighted Fluency is to be a part of Mastercard, helping central banks create CBDC networks, and they're looking forward to working with Ripple as well as Consensus.
And looking at the MiCA regulations introduction last year by the European Commission was really refreshing, because obviously having cryptocurrencies regulated will also ensure that there is a larger adoption of other assets and understanding by the end user.
Many projects in the crypto world are excited about MAA regulations because it clarifies crypto, but it also clarifies tokenized securities, tokenized real estate, central bank digital currencies, and the list goes on and on. Remember, Inga has worked for the digital euro as well as worked with some of these regulatory advisory boards, such as the Digital Euro Foundation.
It's essential to say that when we talk about digital assets, we also talk about central bank digital currencies that will be introduced.
When you talk about crypto assets, you're also talking about central bank digital currencies that will be introduced. Central bank digital currencies are intertwined with crypto assets.
In euro currency, they will also need to get compliant with digital euro policy and PSD2. So I think this is really essential for crypto companies also prepared for the future, for multi-digital assets future, when we'll have interoperability between different types of assets.
It is essential that companies get ready for a multi-chain world.
Wholesale CBDCs, retail CBDCs, cryptocurrencies which are regulated, so actually getting rid of all those cryptocurrencies, that actually made crypto so unpopular over the last 12 months, as well as regulated stable coins. And the regulatory preparation, from my perspective, should be definitely more vocal about getting all the financial intermediaries prepared.
So all the financial intermediaries need to be prepared. But she's also talking about getting rid of many of the crypto assets that were popular over the last few years. So the last few years, what happened? We had Dogecoin pump. We had a lot of these meme tokens pump. So when she says get rid of a lot of these digital assets, what does she exactly mean by that? Does she mean that the assets with utility are able to pump so high that people just forget about Dogecoin? Or is there an outright ban on coins like Dogecoin or coins that are meme coins or serve no purpose? So interested to know. She's certainly in the know. Like I said, she works for the Federal Reserve, the ECB, as well as the UK.
Getting all the financial intermediaries prepared for multi-digital assets future, In the end of the day, there is a place for every type of asset, whether it's a legal tender in the form of central bank digital currencies, or cryptocurrencies or stable coins, depending on the jurisdictions. Nevertheless, I know it will be a quite significant challenge for financial intermediaries to ensure multi-interoperability and also ensure common standards.
Getting all the financial intermediaries prepared for a multi-chain future. So that means getting all the banks, getting all the FIs, getting all the institutions ready to use multiple different assets, not just one asset, not just the XRP ledger or Ethereum. They're talking about using multiple different chains, and getting all of those different banks in order is the priority.
Common cross-border standard that will support international intermediaries in the processing of CBDCs.
International standards must take place. This is a necessity in order to move forward with the Internet of Value.
Across different type of assets, for instance, by pension funds, which you mentioned, this is exactly coming the way of the biggest companies right now. And they already started working on how they could address this.
The biggest companies in the world are already working on how they can address this. Pension funds, for example, are looking for the cross-border piece.
From the policy perspective, also contributing to market advisory groups, in the case of Digital Euro project conducted over the last 2 years, as well as from the technology perspective, not being in the position of ending up with multiple systems which cannot actually exchange the currencies between each other.
So there needs to be a cross-border system that works. It can't be multiple systems that don't work, but it needs to be a cross-border system that works. Now, on the other part, she was talking about a multi-chain future, but when she gets to the cross-border piece, she's talking about one system that works very well. The soul is the birthless, deathless, changeless part of us. The part of us that looks out from beyond our eyes and has no form. Thanks, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the show. Please take a moment to like and subscribe. If you enjoy content like this, please consider joining my Patreon or my Ghost site, dmjr.ghost.io. Thanks, guys.